So the model of human history is like this. 50,000 years we hunted to get our food. And then for a while, we figured out how to farm to get our food. And then we invented this idea of factories so that we could produce enough value. But what comes after that? And I want to argue what comes after that is art. Now, when I say art, you might think of the Guggenheim or something like that, Picasso. I'm talking about art in a really broad sense. Art about being creative, art about being new, art about doing something that hasn't been done before that touches other people. When Marcel Duchamp put a urinal into a Dadaist art exhibit, he was being an artist. The second guy to install a urinal was a plumber. And there's a really big distinction there. You go to the Per Se restaurant down the street, you wait 2.5 months for a reservation, you pay $300 for dinner. You're not going because of the calories. You can buy the calories down the street for $4. You're going because there's an experience there made by a human being in a way that touches you. You look at people at the other tables and there's a sense of community there. And you know that receptionist, the one you haven't fired and replaced with a voicemail system, she still has her job because of the way she interacts with human beings when she answers the phone, with the way she's able to change the culture of what it is to deal with you. That these fellows that I worked with at Acumen, they're changing things, not because they have a manual, but because they're doing art. Art has nothing to do with drawing. You know, there's a village in China called Dafan where they paint 1/3 of all the oil paintings in the world. And they go out every morning and they paint as fast as they can, copying the one before. You can buy the Mona Lisa for $29 in Dafan. Now, it's not the Mona Lisa. It's a copy of the Mona Lisa. And what you are discovering is it's getting harder and harder and harder to sell copies at a premium price. Right? And what I'm discovering as a boss, what your bosses are discovering, is any job that can be written down precisely, we can find someone else to do it cheaper. And if there's enough pressure, that's what's going to happen. Something unbelievable has happened just now, which is that the people who have a laptop also own the machine. That for $800, you have the factory. If you were a coal miner, you never thought to go out and buy yourself a coal mine. You worked in someone else's coal mine. But now, when someone has a laptop, they have access to the world market. They can create ideas just as easily as you. That what we're seeing in this pro-am revolution that's going on is that people who aren't in this room are building tribes bigger than yours, spreading ideas faster than yours. If you want to do recombinant DNA research, you can do it on your kitchen table for $800. The real story of what's now is this. The internet has taken down the walls that you guys used to pay for, right? It is connecting all these people for free. If you want to have a TV network or publish a book or have a radio station or sell your crafts, go ahead. There's no barrier anymore. So your advantage in doing that old thing isn't worth what it used to be. This obedience model that we taught so many people that your boss might be reminding people of every day is now wasted because obedience doesn't get us better productivity. It just gets us better behaved dogs. And the reason for that is that competence is everywhere. It's now far easier to find someone competent than it ever was before. So if all you can offer is competence, I'm not going to seek you out. I have a few collections of photos. I'll share one of them here. I collect photos of cafeteria ladies. And sometimes the outfits, whatever. But these are prison cafeteria ladies. It really sucks to be a cafeteria lady. Your customers treat you poorly, your boss treats you poorly, you don't have a lot of job security. And every job we can imagine, we are turning into a cafeteria lady job because that's one of the outcomes of the industrial age dying. And yet we indoctrinate our kids. If you got a 2-year-old and they're bothering you, say, look, go play Candyland. I don't know if you know the rules of Candyland, but here they are. Pick a card, do what it says. Those are the rules of Candyland. So by the time a kid is 2 years old, we're already training them to follow instructions. And that is what leads to the stress that so many people are going through and that you're trying to unlock. So at this point, your eyes cloud over and you say, Seth, okay, let's say I get that. Give me a map. What's the dummy's guide? Show me step by step how to get from here to there. I don't even care if it's a fictional map. Just tell me what to do. And the answer is, I don't know. The answer is, if I could tell you what to do, it wouldn't be art anymore, would it? That what we're rewarding now, if you look at who is growing, if you look at who is gaining market share, if you look at who is having impact in any market, selling to consumers or businesses, it is not the people who are doing that thing but with a little twist. It's the people who are creating things that we now call art. If I gave you a hierarchy of what's valuable, the last place you want to be is lifting heavy objects, right? But as we move our way up the chart, it's the creating and inventing that this market will reward. And so what was funny and great and viral on YouTube 6 months ago is boring and stupid now. It used to be you could copy ad formats for 5, 10, 15, 20 years in a row and do just great. Now you got 5 days, if that. And that means you better start asking a different question. Please stop asking, what is the new format? How can I create, can we put smell into internet ads? Because that would be a breakthrough. Because the problem with these models is once they announce it and your boss approves it, it's too late. Charles Krulak, who was commandant of the Marines when he said this, pointed out that World War I and World War II were won by the generals. And the current conflicts are going to be decided by the lowest ranked guy in the street. It's changing what it means to interact. If you run a rental car company, you will not win because the executive suite is smart. You will win because the person who answers the phone is smart. And yet you're not organized for that, are you? That's the least trained, lowest paid person in your whole company. If we look at Zappos, a shoe store, for God's sake, that sold for $1 billion, what exactly did they sell? What they sold was the guy in the street, the person answering the phone, the person packing the box, doing the job differently. I call that person a linchpin. Someone we can't live without. Someone who makes a difference. That what we're seeing now is a revolution away from corporate behemoths who just churn it out to collections of individuals who lead, who run tribes. And art involves generosity. It involves connecting with people. It involves giving gifts, not favors. And corporations are terrible at this. Corporations don't understand that it's not always about, I'll give you this if you give me that. They're too concerned about this old scarcity model of the economy. Let me give you my favorite example. Proof Rock Coffee is a coffee shop in London, fancier than Starbucks. They have one of those frequent buyer cards. You get 8 clicks, you win. Well, instead of getting a punch every time you go back to Proof Rock, he listed all his competitors. And if you visit his competitor and drink a coffee at each place, he'll give you another coffee. Do you think he called up his competitors and said, what will you do for me if I send you all my customers? No way. This is the work of an artist. This is the work of someone who wanted to share because he knew it would come back to him. Or maybe it wouldn't, but it was important. Right? I went to see Levon Helm in concert. I look up, Donald Fagen is playing the piano in this little tiny concert hall. How much would Levon Helm have had to pay Donald Fagen of Steely Dan to come play piano on a Saturday night? The answer, of course, is nothing. Donald Fagen didn't do it for the money. He did it because if he doesn't play piano for someone that Saturday night's lost forever. It's like the vegetables at the farmer's market at the end of the day. If you don't use them, they're gone. And so this idea of day's work for day's pay doesn't fly anymore. It doesn't fly in a world where we're dealing with abundance. Abundance of information, not abundance of wealth. But information is all we've got. So I guess where I would take this is you're getting what you always asked for. What you always asked for was a chance to be you, a chance to do your work, not just follow some instructions from a brain-dead boss. What you always asked for was a chance to lead people, put me in, coach. And what you always asked for was something more fair than the pick me mindset that says if you don't get picked, you lose. Because what the internet says is anyone who raises their hand can find a few people to follow them. And if their idea is great, they can spread it. And they can spread it, and then they have a tribe. And once you have a tribe, and once you're leading a group of people who need to be led, who want to be led, who want to go somewhere, then the money shows up. Then the orders show up. Then you do fine. There's nobody out there who's influential and respected and has a tribe who is struggling right now. No one. The people who are struggling are the ones who say, I have a product just like all the other products, but we're working really hard on it. Please, please, please buy mine. We don't care about you at all. We care about our groups and our tribe. David Rakoff, a brilliant humorist, wrote a story. And in the story, he talks about being at the movies. He's the only person in the whole theater. And some woman walks in, and she walks almost all the way to the front, and she points to the seat right where he is and says, is this seat taken? And he looks around, what do you mean? She's nuts. And then he had an existential crisis because he realized he's taking a seat, that there's 1 million people or 1 billion people who want his spot, his leverage, his readership, his respect. And every day, he has to make a decision. Am I going to use this job, this spot, as a platform for doing my art, or am I just going to phone it in and do what I'm told? So I hope as you hear about all the wonders that people here have created for you to reach people with your ideas, that you'll think about that and make something worth doing. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.